Okay, I have a game today at 3 o'clock. I don't know how much minutes I'm going to play. It's my first game with this team, blah, blah, blah. But before I get into that game, I just kind of wanted to address here, because this is something that I want to embody in the game today, of the importance of being aware on the pitch, okay? And I was watching some video yesterday. It was off Loftus-Cheek, and he was kind of getting interviewed, you know, like just about what things are important to him in terms of footballing ability-wise. And again, I kind of miss those videos because we don't really see those videos as much in the modern game, you know. Like, the way that Sky Sports interviews work nowadays, especially when it comes to younger players, they're just trying to kind of commend them on their focus of getting there, you know, instead of actually allowing these kids, you know, to give real technical advice to the younger generation. You know, we don't really see that. All the interviews are kind of done now, you know, on the sofa. You know, we don't really see. But then when we do see the footballing, you know, shit, it's just like not pranks, but it's like challenges, you know. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like challenges where they will do the trick shots and shit like that. Like, I was watching that yesterday. Again, it was a funny video, but I really think we're missing this demographic of which footballers actually advise players from technical level, you know, because it's very important, because these guys are the ones experiencing the modern game, so they can kind of give you an insight in the way that the game is, the way that the game is moving to you, and the steps that you will have to take, you know, to get there. You know what I'm saying? Beyond this whole hard work and belief gimmick, okay, because it's deeper than that, okay. This is what I talk about in this channel and other channels as well. Introspection is on that level of introspection. These people, whether they recognize it or not, they introspected enough to the level where they realize they had to dedicate themselves to the sport, okay. Is that there's a word from it that comes from Kurapika from Hunter x Hunter. It's the reason, was what made him so powerful. The resolve. It's this introspection to know that you need a resolve in order to do that. For example, for me personally, I don't have that strong of a resolve to be a professional footballer. I did at certain times, and that feeling could come back, but in this moment right now, that resolve isn't as strong, okay? The resolve, I would say, is stronger in me improving my footballing ability, okay? But again, enough to the point, okay? What I wanted to talk about was awareness, okay? Awareness on the pitch, very, very, very important. You know, and again, if you're able to introspect yourself outside of the pitch, this becomes easier. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've noticed for myself, and where I become more aware of my existence and stop being unconscious in life, the more my footballing ability improves. You know, and I talk about this, no doom scrolling, and I think I'm gonna make another video on my other channel now after this, again, just talking about doom scrolling and not doom scrolling, because this is really, 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 really important, okay? And I can see how stuff like doom scrolling, checking Twitter, stuff like footballers talk about this, how their opinions are sometimes heavily affected by what they see online. You know, this was a big thing. And then the whole thing was that they made this whole thing where they said, oh, we need to be nicer online. They need to stop bullying people online. Bro, these bullies exist, whether you like it. How are you going to stop that? How are you going to stop that without suppressing the freedom of speech? How are you going to stop that? You're going to ban people from swearing? They would just say it in a different way. Like, this is what I'm talking about. But then at the same time, people just, you know, they go look, they look within this structure, you know, of technology and shit like that as the issue, when really and truly it's too heavy. Technology and shit is too heavy. There's too many opinions at one time that you can't really conceive them. So you just kind of, it puts you into this negative state, because let's say that you see a lot of people online that are feeling negative energy. By you feeding into that, you tap into that negative world. There's no positive world within that, at least while you're within that. So this is why I talk about when you're out of social media, you will actually notice that, hey, there's a lot of times in my life where I don't need to listen to other people's, you know, baggage onto me, you know. And then the negative opinions of other people are only going to come from the people that are around you, innit? And if you select, and you're able to better select, like, you can block people in real life. Like, that's it. Their words can still stick with you, but you can block them in real life. There's a lot of people in my life which now I'm beginning to block in real life, because I'm just like, bro, I don't want to hear your opinion anymore. Because I used to hear their opinion on Snapchat every day, and it used to make me think negative about my life, and I can see how that negatively impacted my life, okay? But then again, it's not really looked well upon again, like, this is actually like really jarring because this video was supposed to be about, so I'm gonna save this for my next video. So let me kind of wrap this one up, because again, it's just mostly about being aware. Okay, being aware on the pitch, being aware of who you're around, and being aware of, you know, just like the passes that you can make. Every time you get the ball, be prepared to make the next decision on the ball, and be prepared to trust your intuition, which decides what that next decision is. You know, let's say you see someone making a run in the corner of your eye, bang. If that run is what's drawn out to you, pop that. You know, that's what I mean. So that's why they say scan, but don't scan for no reason. Like, don't be one of them man that scan and scan, you know, and scan and scan. For me personally, I sometimes do that, but at the same time, it's a balance. Because I will also scan. What the hell? Did I just get paid? I also scan just to know if I should dribble or not. You know, that's what I do. I scan to know if I should dribble or not. But yeah, just scanning and being aware on the pitch, as Loftus-Cheek said in the video, very, very, very valuable. Okay, because this, especially when we talk about game awareness, game IQ, awareness on the pitch, really provides that what you need, bro. It's what you need, because that way you're able to make the decisions in trusting your ability on the ball, because you know who's making the run. That's what I'm saying. Know your teammates as well. Come to understand your teammates, so you can kind of predict what sort of runs they make. You know, like, for example, let me think of for example, one of my friends, okay, that I play with. The one thing about him, he will do this. He will run in a circle, then he will start with the ball in the midfield. He will do a little circle, and then he will just start dribbling through the team, blah, blah, blah. And I know that he's not always going to pass it to me, okay? But I know at the same time that if I just sit on the left of him and I kind of follow him, but then I just sit on the left waiting, because it usually gets to a breaking point where they get too many players and he's about to close down. That's usually the point which he would pass to me or he would shoot. But by me sitting there, he's aware, knowing, okay, Noah is always going to be there on that left side waiting for me to receive the ball, you know. And that's how we scored a lot of our goals when we were playing, you know, that little link up. Even though there was a bit of friction in the fact that he wouldn't pass it to me every time I'd want to get past, and then I wouldn't shoot or do what he wanted me to do when he would pass me the ball, there was still that understanding of which we were aware of each other's limitations almost, you know. Be aware of your limitations. Beyond that, importantly, in fact, so much more importantly, be aware of your limitations on the pitch, you know, and be aware of your teammates' limitations on the pitch, you know, so you can work around that. If you know someone's not the best dribbler on the ball, make sure when they receive the ball, you put yourself in an open space, and then they don't have to dribble, so then they can pass it to you, you know. Like, having that understanding goes a long way in football. It goes a long way. But yeah, I don't want to go too deep into it because I want to give yourself space to think about what I've just said. But yeah, I would say take that, being aware on the pitch, very important. And yeah, I got a game today. Peace.